Welcome, Roger.
Dr. Bakshi.
Well, we're going to have an exciting topic today, and that topic is very current, and almost everybody wants to know nowadays because there's so much of hype and buzz about coaching.
Yes, sir.
Many people are becoming, active with understanding what coaching is and all. But the question on top of everybody's mind is, can coaches create income?
Mm, yeah, that's that's a fantastic question. Thank you. So there's so many ways to approach this, and the first one is to just um, go to the issue of how do we feel personally about charging a fee. Recently, just earlier today, I created a new coaching client. And the fee for an hour of coaching, $250. And of course, I've been a coach since the 1980s. And there are times when I'm working in a corporate context where my price per hour goes significantly higher than that. And yet at the same time, many of the people that we've trained at Circle of Life Coach Institute uh, do coaching for nothing, just for fun, as a part of creating a more healthy community, uh, offering for a lot of people the whole concept of having a second career, or for many retired people, reimagining retirement. Uh, for myself, I'm eligible to be retired, but I'm not interested in retiring. So when people say, "What are you going to do when you're retired?" I say, "I'm going to get new tires and I'm going to drive on new roads." And part of that for a lot of people is giving back. Many people have derived a lot of benefit from their um, professional lives, and they want to give back. So there's a range from no cost coaching or peer coaching for fun, just being able to understand the coaching methodology, and then being in dynamic relationships with people that we happen to bump into, whether they're people we know or even people that we don't know, like coaching at parties. Coaching at parties is a really fun thing to do, and it's not something that you would charge for. And if a person seems like they're interested, you could let them know that you're a coach and you have a fee and so forth. But as a part of being together at this party, I'm just happy to help you to clarify your intention and your goals so that you can flourish in your life. So anywhere from no fee all the way up to this client that I've got this morning was asked the question, would there be an additional fee if I brought some friends? And sometimes I would say uh, no, and sometimes I would say yes. And it just depends on how I feel as the coach. And in this particular case, I said, bringing friends is great. And I really prefer to do group coaching because when we do coaching in a group, the price per person goes down. And so the $250 that I'm charging for the hour, um, if it was for a single person, that would be me getting $250 to work with one person. But this is going to be three people. And so I'm essentially getting somewhere around $80 per person, and one person is paying, so that it's very, very simple. Some of the other coaches that we work with have higher fees. And so it doesn't really come down to what should coaches be charging. It comes down to, where are you in your coaching career? How long have you been doing this? And how bold are you? There are a lot of people who are very bold and get trained as a coach, and they have the gift of being a kind of a good marketer and being naturally a great coach. And so then that kind of a person will charge a higher fee sooner than another person who's, shall we say, less courageous, or has to work for a while on their coaching skills, or who feels like their self-esteem needs to be cultivated, and that their rates will go up as they cultivate their self-esteem. So as you can see, there's a lot of ways to talk about this question, a lot of ways to have it evolve from being newly trained, and or have it evolve from being shy to courageous. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think you touched upon some very interesting aspects. The only thing that I have to say is that because of the range from charging nothing, which is fine for subset of individuals who want to give back, like you said, and that's fine. That is okay. The situation comes back as to creating income. And when it says income, is this for the pocket money that you're creating income, or you're going to create to survive or thrive? So these are the levels at which we talk about. So if it's for survival and that's your main mode of earning, main vehicle of earning, well, in that case, a coach who is going to come out, like you said, early stages of coaching career, they don't have the experience. So how do they get up there in terms of being able um, to call themselves, have the esteem. Self-esteem is the word you used. To have that esteem, I believe that there are there are two types of things. One is the price. Two words that I want to sort of throw it around here. And what is the price? That's the cost that we're talking about, price. But the second part, which is very crucial to focus on for any coach, even getting out, is what's the value of what they're doing. If the value is high, in terms of saying that I'm providing a value which is so high for that particular individual or a group of individuals, whatever that is, then the people will be ready to pay that because they're getting something very valuable. And then the price becomes, okay, it's affordable, it's something that they will give. Now, how can the coach increase the value? One of the ways in which people are doing right now nowadays is, like in any business, find the need and fill it. If you really have a need today, just one example I'll give you is one friend I was talking to. He was into handling this situation with the pandemic and coaching during that time. So there are lots of changes happening for everybody during the pandemic. So he decided that he's going to take this up and say, how does anybody adjust to various changes that are happening in the health, the working conditions, relationships, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. So he took that as a centerpiece of his coaching. So that's an opportunity that is there. So you create some kind of, you find the need and create that, and then you fill it, and then there'll be people asking for it. If you are going to provide value, then the number can go up, even if you're not that much experience. I mean, not have many years, but now people want that. So I think that one point is the value creation, and it could be a niche. For example, somebody who's like you're a physician, and so obviously, and then of course you do energy medicine and Tai Chi and all. So I mean, there are areas that person can be more comfortable or create their niche, and that's the niche marketing that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. So now a question comes back as, for a startup individual, let's say the person Circle of Life gets certified in our program. Just an example, okay? And you do give a very beautiful and detailed overview of how the circle can be applied in different ways. So let's say somebody gets certified. What would be their approach to create some income?
You mean anybody who
Just
becomes
yeah, just supposing they get in, and what are the various factors that you would say, that will help them get out there and create income after getting certified for circular life coaching?
well, I'd link it back to the circle. In other words, is the coach actually thriving themselves? So, is the person able to, shall we say, support the process of investigating how to stress because they manage stress well?
Okay.
Is the person who's a coach able to support an individual in establishing an intention around the level of their well-being and then focusing on their nutrition? Can the coach do that if they haven't investigated their own nutrition? And of course, one of the answers to the question is yes, a coach can do that if they haven't investigated their own nutrition, particularly if they are a great salesperson and they really have the gift of being able to support people, even though they haven't been able to support themselves. But generally, we like to think that coaches are exemplary and that they've actually done the work of becoming uh, becoming their more essential self or their more destined self by working
Mhm,
through the
mhm,
coaching process.
mhm, mhm.
So,
Yeah, I remember your teaching one. I just want to mention that because this is your teaching, and I really love that one. We asked you when I was training, or not, somebody asked anyway, uh, how do you find clients? And I remember you, and it was a live training, and you just looked around the room quietly, and that I loved that about you. And your statement was, they are everywhere. And it was such a profound statement. They are everywhere, but how do you find them? And your answer was this: just listen. Listen for what the issues are. That's where when I started saying find the need and fill it. Finding the need is a significant training that in Circle of Life you provided to me, and in that I got out of this that when I listen more, there are only three or four areas that people complain about. It was time, money, relationship, and health. Four. They were going from one to the other, and they were interdependent. As I found that more out about that, I know you're a physician, I'm a physician, so we tend to say, okay, health is. We hear a lot more of health. But these are all so interrelated, and when we heard more and more people, when you listen to more people, and we have the perfect way to balance it through the circle process. So I would have to say that the circular process prepares them to all these four areas very beautifully, because ultimately what you pointed out just now, a few minutes back, is very, very powerful. If a coach himself or herself goes through this experience, they are going to be much stronger. Like you said, self-esteem. They will recognize the power within the process. And when they recognize the power within the process, there you go. They use the power, they use the process, and then their own value in their own. How much am I worth when I talk to somebody? Their worth, their self worth increases significantly. And
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. One last little thought about that is
sure.
that when we created the Circle of Life, we put a lot of effort into putting everything about how it works well into the process. So, regarding a person's ability to offer value, and regarding a person's ability to start at a level that's pretty sophisticated as a coach, the Circle of Life has that all built into it. And so let's imagine you're out there, you're thinking, I'd love to be a coach, but I'm not sure how courageous I am. And I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to learn how to do this correctly. Well, with the Circle of Life process, we on purpose built it so that number one, it's going to sort of naturally and automatically contain the steps of what a fantastic coaching session is. So a person can relax a little bit about how to raise value, because there's a lot of value built into the process. And then the part about being you asked the question, where do we find clients? I'll just give an example. I was recently on a hike to a hot spring, and typically hot springs have kind of interesting people hanging around them and so forth. And so I was talking with this woman, and basically I asked, and think about this, how many people could you ask this question? What's the most interesting thing that you're working on these days? And she went right to it. And it's very common for people at parties on a Friday night to love it when somebody asks the question about, well, what's your favorite thing you're working on these days? And so she went right to the response that she was recently married and everything is really going well, but that she's kind of like starting to think about her career. And then I said, well, it sounds like, you might be a candidate for coaching. And so then she asked me a few questions about it. And she asked me this question. She said, what is the most important thing that I need to have to be able to really ramp this up quickly? And I said, are you courageous? And she said, I left home at 14 and I've made my entire life work well without a lot of leverage from the benefits of being in a family that was sort of a normal family. And so, yeah, I had to become courageous. And I thought to myself, snap, this is going to be a fantastic coach.
Good. Good. Yeah, I think I think we're covering quite a bit of ground here. And the area that we talk about is one more small point that occurred to me as you were talking about it. And as a coach, we are actually empowering people and uncovering solutions for themselves that they have in themselves. We're not providing knowledge. We're not providing, solutions and things like that. No diagnostic and no nothing like that. So you can't charge for that. The interesting part is you can't charge for the knowledge. Even if you teach somebody, that's not your role. So you can charge for, what do you charge for? Well, you charge for the effort that you take, your energy, your interest, your curiosity, your courage, and your compassion. You put all that together in order to help people reveal into their own potential that they have, and create solutions for them.
Yeah.
So that effort, yeah. So anyhow, thank you very much, Roger. This was fantastic. I think we're going to do some other angles on this before, as the time goes by, and the next session maybe.
Yeah, well, let's meet again.
Thank you
So much.